So I'm kind of okay at juggling. I started when I was a kid, and that was really lucky because it turns out that the process that you use to learn most juggling moves is really helpful for getting good at other things. So in the next 4 minutes, I'm going to explain to you how to learn almost any juggling trick, and along the way try and change your mindset about how to get good at other stuff. And by the end of the video, hopefully you'll know how to do this, if you practice enough. Okay, so first, just in case you don't know how to juggle at all, here's the 30-second version of how to learn it. Step 1 is to start with one ball and throw it from hand to hand, trying to hit the corners of an imaginary box each time. The key here really is consistency. You're trying to make each throw go to pretty much the same place so you can catch it without looking at it too much. Step 2 is to add a second ball, which you throw when the first ball hits the corner of the box. You want to be able to do this on both sides, and again the key is consistency, so don't move on to step 3 until you can do this at least 10 times without one drop. And then step 3 is to do exactly the same thing, except that every time a ball gets to the corner of the box you do another throw. Do that about 10 times and you're juggling. Easy. So then once you can juggle, the process for learning most other tricks is the same. You practice the move with one ball until you can do it consistently. You practice doing the move and then throwing another ball before you catch the first one. And then you practice throwing a ball normally and then doing the move before you catch it. Then you try to do the move while you're actually juggling. And that's it. It's simple, but that's kind of the point, because the process of learning a lot of things is you make the first steps really easy, you progress consistently, and you minimize mistakes. And that last one really is key in a whole bunch of different skills, because muscle memory is definitely a thing, and failing a whole bunch of times in anything, whether it's a tricky piano measure or a deadlift, just reinforces bad movement patterns. So if you're trying to learn a complicated piano measure, then you learn it with one hand at first until you can do that consistently, then learn the other hand until you can do that consistently, and then you just put them both together, but you still do it slowly so that you're minimizing mistakes at every stage of the process. And even for a weightlifting movement, you probably want to minimize the amount of times you fail, because all you're doing otherwise is reinforcing bad movement patterns. If you want bigger shoulders, failing a whole bunch of shoulder presses might be okay. If you want to shoulder press more weight, you need to teach your muscle fibers to fire together on successful lifts. There's a very famous juggling book that tells you that a drop is a sign of progress. But I actually think it's much more useful to listen to CHARLEY DANCEY's advice, which is that a drop is a sign you have made a mistake, and try and address the cause of that mistake and minimize it in the future. And that's why I think juggling is such a great training ground for learning how to learn. The feedback is instantaneous because when you make a mistake, the thing you're juggling falls on the floor. And it's that simple. Start easy, plan for progress, minimize mistakes. But how do you apply that to this trick? Well, you do it like anything else. Start with one ball, doing this movement. Add another ball and do this movement. Then add a third ball and just keep going. And this move, you can work out on your own.